sound real good around the Great Lakes also. I got to sound like country. Este Vega Baja transmite la unidad novato. Buenos días. I just moved out of the sample. Yo, come on. You're getting all the muscles.
17Z855.
Hey, where'd that 825 go? You got 825, the blue asshole. This is 426, the green frog. Oh, green frog? 825, the blue asshole, Fort Hood, Texas. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that. You all come back now, you hear? One copy, Pennsylvania Mobile. All right, get to it. Good hearing from you, man.
This is the Ranger RCI-2995DX base station. It's basically a CB base station, although it also covers the ham bands. Actually, the radio covers 24 MHz to 32 MHz in 100 Hz steps, and it does have the CB channels pre-programmed. If you press this button, you can either switch from normal frequency tuning, or you can go back to CB. The radio tunes in 100 Hz steps, as you can see here, and you can select which digit you want to tune. So that was the megahertz tuning. This is the 100 kilohertz tuning. You can also use these buttons. This is the 10 kilohertz tuning, 1 kilohertz tuning, and 100 hertz tuning. For CB, you probably would want to just tune like this, or you go to the pre-programmed channelization. Now the radio does have a microphone with up-down buttons, so by pressing the buttons you can also change the channels. And you can also do that when you're in frequency tuning. This is 1 kilohertz tuning, and this is 100 hertz tuning. The 100 hertz steps are synthesized. They are not accomplished by crystal shifting. It is a true dual loop synthesizer that this radio has, which is unusual for a CB radio. Most CBs have single loop synthesizers. This one has the dual loop synthesizer, which is the reason why it can do 100 hertz steps. Let's go over a few features. On-off button, pretty robust, it's an aluminum button. Calibrate, that's basically the SWR indicator. I'll show you how that works. Press the button here, basically set it to set. Then you go to SWR on the meter and you see the actual SWR on that meter. I'll show you that it actually is correct. This is the forward and this is the return. We get a little bit back. So as you can see, works perfect. If you turn this off, you basically are at what does it say, RF output indicator for the transmitter, as you can see. There is an RF power setting that mostly is active for amplitude modulation, so you can lower the carrier and therefore the amplitude modulation as a whole. There is an RF gain. Sometimes I back it off a little bit because the radio is pretty sensitive. There's no reason to have that all the way open. Microphone gain, frequency dial we already discussed. You can basically do the dial here or use these buttons, which are basically having the same effect, or the buttons on the microphone. There is a clarifier. The 12 o'clock position, 0 position, then you actually are at the frequency that the display tells you. 375 in this case. There is the squelch. It's a nice working squelch. Volume, obviously. The radio has quite a lot of modes. There is the frequency modulation mode, amplitude modulation, upper sideband, we have lower sideband, we have CW, if you like Morse code, and we have PA, which is public address, which is basically using the radio as an audio amplifier. Buttons here, we have a pretty effective noise blanker on A&L that actually works well on fluorescent interference from fluorescent light sources. That actually works better than my ham radio, because my ham radio does not get that out. This radio actually does, so that's pretty good design job of Ranger. You can set the brightness for the display. Usually set it at the middle position. There is a Roger beep. SWR we already discussed. You can do split frequency. That is useful when you want to work repeaters on 10 meters, FM repeaters. The radio can do scanning. I've never used that. Can do memory scan and frequency scan. This is to program the memory, PRG. This actually calls up the memory. It has 10 frequency memories that you can pre-program. This we already discussed, CB or regular. This enter button is used to enter the frequency when you program the memories. Shift we already discussed, that determines which digit you want to tune. There is a lock. When you set that up, the dial will not have an effect. And there is these buttons here, which are the up-down buttons we already discussed. Radio is built very well. It's built like a tank. This front panel is aluminum, anodized aluminum. It's like a 1/4 of an inch thick. Front firing speaker. These grips are also heavy aluminum, machined aluminum. The case is made out of steel. There's no plastic on this unit. The radio actually would fit in a 19-inch rack, a real 19-inch rack. So this is just not for show. It actually could be mounted in a professional 19-inch rack if you wanted to do that. Radio puts out a pretty serious amount of power. Out of the box it does about 100 or 120 watts. That's what I have left it. I don't like to crank that up because it screws up the modulation. So this one is still stock. About 120 watts PEP on single sideband and about 40 to 50 watts AM carrier and 50 watts frequency modulation. And the modulation is quite good. It's a good radio. It has a sensitive receiver and selective. It has good modulation, it's good linearity. And this particular serial number range that this radio has actually was in the sweet spot of the manufacturing series, the manufacturing run that Ranger did for this RCI-2995DX. And later I'll explain you when that is, when I show you the inside of the radio. This was the particular sweet spot for me. And it took me a long time to find this particular one. And it is in excellent condition. It's in mint condition. I still even got the box with it. which is also in good condition. And like I said, great radio for CB, but also for the 12 meter band and for the 10 meter band, and I'll show you some of that later, what the performance is. Alright, let's show you how the radio works as the transmitter. For that we will switch to the dummy load, otherwise we might be bothering other people and we don't want to do that. So we're at channel 38, which is 27385 megahertz. We're in lower sideband. I have my monitor receiver here, it's my ham radio FT817 at 27385. We have it at maximum power right now, and like I said, lower sideband. Let's see how it sounds. 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 testing. Lower sideband, a little bit more volume maybe. 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5. As you see, the radio puts out almost 150 watts on the single sideband, which is stock. That's what I got when I got it out of the box. I do not recommend cranking that up higher, then your modulation won't sound as nice as it does now. Let's try upper sideband. Upper sideband on the monitor. 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 testing. And the power is still 145 watts at the peak, so that's 145 watts PEP for single sideband. We'll try amplitude modulation. We're at amplitude modulation right now. 1 2 3 4 5 testing. 1 2 3 4 5. As you can see, we have about 55 watts carrier for amplitude modulation. I can lower that. I can lower that. 1 2 3 4 5. You can see you can lower it to about 10 watts. So 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 amplitude modulation. So we have 55 watts carrier, which is the maximum you really should do. The amplifier, the power amplifier in this radio is capable of 200 watts. So that's 4 times the carrier, which is 100% modulation for amplitude modulation. If you go above that in terms of the carrier level, you're gonna have splatter in your modulation. So again, this is really the peak you should use for amplitude modulation. You should not go in the radio, crank that up. You know, you can crank it up to 150 watts carrier, but your modulation is going to be terrible. So I definitely don't recommend doing that. Right now the modulation in amplitude modulation is excellent. I'll show you that on the oscilloscope later. This radio has textbook perfect AM, and you don't want to screw that up. We can try frequency modulation. Volume here. We'll set this radio on frequency modulation. I'll probably want some squelch there. Alright, let's see what we get. 1 2 3 4 5. We have 55 watts carrier and frequency modulation, same as AM. 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5. Excellent modulation. Frequency modulation. Now this is something Ranger could have done better. When you are an FM, there is no AM modulation. You could actually crank the carrier up to 100 watts, but they have that coupled with the AM carrier. That's what I probably would have done different had I designed this radio. In FM you can have higher power levels without the modulation distorting, but they did not do that for whatever reason. But again, leave it at 55, you know. 55 to 110 is only 3 dB anyway, nobody's going to notice the difference. Amplitude modulation works as well. Let's go back to the antenna. Quite a mess on the band today. We might have better luck at 10 meters, I'll show you that later, and maybe we can also show you some frequency modulated signals. That would be nice. It's not very popular on the CB band, but it works great. This is the inside of the radio. You might recognize it. It's the same chassis as the RCA-2950, with a few differences though. This is the later chassis, it's a later design. What you see here is the synthesizer. This is the transmitter RF stages. Here are the receiver RF stages in their own tin can. This is the single sideband filter. These are the IF stages. These are the audio stages, AM modulator and audio amplifier. Here is the sideband oscillator. 3 filters for upper side, lower sideband and AM/FM. And here is the microphone preamplifier. This particular serial number has the later switching power supply installed. This is actually a dual mode power supply. It can run on both US voltage and European voltage without having to change over anything. It's auto sensing. This is the version, you can't see it, but this is the 100 watt power amplifier. This is the version that has the strip line transistors, the balanced power amplifier strip line transistors. Some people call them pills. That's actually much better than the later model that has the 6 MOSFETs in there. MOSFETs cost $1 a piece, so 6 is $6. The pills cost $50 together. So RCI did that as a cost reduction, and I didn't want that. I wanted this radio, but I wanted it with the pills, not with the cheap MOSFETs. The strip-line transistors sound infinitely better in linearity, and they are much better robust against bad VSWRs, mismatch on the antenna. The MOSFETs will blow right away. This power amplifier will survive that without a problem, because of the internal emitter ballasting that these transistors have. And that's basically it. So the way I see it is, this is the sweet spot in the serial number, because it's the later chassis with the MOSFETs as the pre-driver and the driver, which is good, but it does not have the crappy power supply, the crappy power amplifier that the later models have. And it has the switching power supply, and it has the yellow LCD. I didn't like the black one that they have nowadays. The green/yellow color I like a lot more. The other nice thing is that this radio still has lead containing soldering, which requires a lower temperature of manufacturing. Nowadays RCI is using the lead-free soldering, the ROHS soldering. That soldering requires a lot higher temperature, and it results in shoddy workmanship. RCI does not have that very well as their experience, and I didn't like that at all. I've seen the later radio and the solder work looks horrible, and this radio still has the lead soldering, which requires a lower temperature. So all in all, when you look at the manufacturing series that have been here for the RCI-2995DX, this to me is the sweet spot in the serial number. Switching power supply, still the real transistors in the power amplifier, but it is the later model chassis, and we do have the green LCD, not the black one. I don't like that one. Alright, I had promised you the oscilloscope diagram for the amplitude modulation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see it's very good modulation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 testing. There is no flat topping. ALC limiter works pretty good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This radio has textbook amplitude modulation, and you don't want to mess with this. Leave it in this position and it works great. We're now at low power level. You see it stays good there. No clipping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No clipping. No flat topping. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a single sideband. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That looks pretty good too. Has a good power distribution. Good a consistency of modulation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Single sideband modulation. Alright, a quick look at the back of the radio. As you see, it's basically dominated by a massive heatsink. There does exist a external fan for the heatsink, although you do not need it if you use the radio normally and you don't crank it up to 200 watts or something. There is an output for a frequency counter. There is a auxiliary 12-volt DC output to power accessories like a microphone or something, an active microphone. This is the Amphenol PL SO239 antenna connector, standard. Serial number, like I said, this particular one is the sweet spot in the serial numbers. This is the fuse. Now, I told you the power supply is auto-sensing. You don't have to set any jumpers or anything. You can either run it at 250 volts or 125, plus minus 20% or something. So you don't have to do anything. The only thing you do if you run it on foreign voltage is to lower the fuse. It's now 5 amps for US voltage. For foreign voltage, you would set it. You would change it for 3 amps. This is the power cord. It's basically permanently attached, so you won't lose it. Kind of nice. Not much to see there, but built very well. This is machined aluminum, and feels heavy and expensive. Thank you. Alright, let's take the radio out of CB mode and go to the 10-meter handbands. Upper sideband, that's what hams use on 10 meters.
Zulu 80 Mike Sierra, Zulu 80 Mike Sierra, Chiquitan. All. WA1QEH.
So Homer Sugar Delta.
Okay, hang on, LFD. KB9 is at Papa Yankee, is that right?
Alpha Uniform 2, Homer Sugar Delta.
Okay, Papa Uniform 2, stand by. Stand by, please. The Kilo Bravo 9 Papa, what was the call? Okay, KB9 PPY, is that right?
Into Horse Lake, anyhow, on the antenna, not very high, 9 feet off the ground. That's, well, you're working me anyway. I'm looking at, I think that's you sitting there in front of your equipment. Anyhow, just looking at some of the pictures here. Yeah, very good, Foster. Nice to see pictures anyway. Always nice to see photographs on there.
And my age is also 67 years old. And I thought we were in trouble with the bands here, but it looks like 10 meters has actually got some openings. I noticed on the screen here, Radio 7600 icon, it's got the scope on it, and I noticed it's pretty busy on 10 meters here this morning. Anyhow, running here the icon and the 3-element tri-bander TH3 Mark IV by high gain, and it's about 52 feet in the air. Back to you there, Foster. M3KCJ VE7DH, correct?
Works well. This is Japan.
Juliet Hotel 1, America, Germany, United. Juliet Hotel 1, Alpha Golf Uniform, calling Secretary of Stan and standing by.
Not bad.
Tango Sierra. Please repeat again here. Mike Tango Sierra. Juliet Hotel 1, Alpha Golf Uniform. Good afternoon, good morning from Tokyo. Thank you very much for calling 5 and 5, 55, coming through western suburbs of Tokyo. My name is Toshi. I spell for you. Tango, Ocean, Sugar, India, Kilo, Juliet, western suburbs of Tokyo. It's for Mike Tango Sierra. Juliet Hotel 1.
Not bad. This is the radio on amplitude modulation in the ham band 29.020.
OH1TX, and oh, by the way, I did hear another fin up the band here a little bit a while back. It was a 3-letter call. OH1TX, this is W1GYY listening.
W1GYY, OH1TX. Did you hear some Finnish guy calling on this frequency, right?
No, he was up around 070. It was
That's what I meant when I said amplitude modulation only sounds good on a CB radio.
Friends to come and check on 10 meters, so they may be a little bit up the
Both
band.
receive and transmit.
They may be a little bit up the band or checking something else as well. So okay.
If you do things right.
Guess could have been OH6 Fox Queen something. Fox Sierra Queen, maybe. Could have been him or somebody else. So let's see. I'll check the band anyway. Because I can't hear the guys from Europe. I don't hear them. So that's glad that somebody else came on, Norm. Okay, you're between. You have QS Baker. You went down to about 5 and 5 and up to 5 and 7 again. So quite a nice opening. Yes, we had the contacts before, but I missed the state. What was your state again, Norm?
Massachusetts, Yakko. About 15 miles west. Lexington's about 15 miles west of Boston. Over.
Okay, right. Massachusetts. Okay, very good. Yeah, and see, we have every Sunday and Saturday we have our noontime. We have an AM net, and I just told the guys that you should come and check 10 meters because it's so nicely open and very nice AM portion here. So maybe one of the guys actually took the advice and came on. I hope he can make some contacts. But I've got good antennas. I've got a stack 5/5 monobanders, so gives me an extra boost as well. Plus the amp now. So what's my signal now on your last Norm, over?
Well, okay, OH1TX W1 GYY right back. Well, you're definitely Q5, and with the amp on, you're peaking 20/9. With the amp off, you were like peaking S9. But there is some QSB. You do drop down with the amp off down to 5 sometimes, but absolutely no problem copying you, Yakko. And great on the 5/5. I know you got a
Works very well.
very nice antenna there.
5 Delta Charlie.
This is the 12 meter band. We're at 24.955.
W1 Alpha Whiskey, portable 0, QRZ. Kilowatt 5 Delta Charlie. Oh, boy, I'm not hearing anybody now. W1 Alpha Whiskey. Oh, okay, hang on, guys, hang on. The KJ4, who's the Kilo 4, Germany? Very young boy, 3rd, 4th grade, and
Band goes from 24.890 to 24.990. Of course the radio can go beyond that, but you won't hear any stations then.
And man, I was impressed. Look, W1 Alpha Whiskey, Kilowatt 5, regular mechanical signal.
Good propagation.
59 Kansas.
59 Kansas, 59 British Columbia.
Digital modulation.
To G5RV, that's about 40 or 50 feet up in a big old cottonwood tree in my backyard. Over. Oh, very good, Dale. The G5RV sounding very, very nice today, and it's giving good signal reports too, so that's always nice. A lot of times...
Works well.
Excuse me, I seem to get...
We're now on frequency modulation. There is some activity.
Familiar with that area? I guess it's near, I don't know where it is.
Frequency modulation.
I know you're near the British Isles there, so I assume it's in that area somewhere. I'm not sure what country you're in. All these European calls sometimes get me confused. You said we worked before. I never realized we worked before. I don't have any record of it here. But that doesn't mean anything. Sometimes I don't write things down when I'm supposed to. So we'll turn it back to you there and see how you're holding up there, Paul. IQI, GM0 IQI, K1EGQ. The QDH here is Zuidveld, Zulu, Uniform, India, Delta,
That is pretty strong
Victor, Echo,
and well modulated.
Delta. Zuidveld is my location in the province Drenthe. And you're doing a very good job. 5x7, Jack. I copied that very well. Running here 80 watt, 80 watt into an 2-element HB9 homemade. Kilo Whiskey 8 Lima. Alpha 3 Foxtrot Alpha Oscar. Over.
Seems to be using a CB radio.
BC, Hazel Eyes.
Man, he's strong.
Skip Land. I heard you ring. Nobody said they were up with the hammer.
Good modulation too. Alright, that's basically it. The Ranger RCI-2995DX. This is to me the ultimate base station for CB. It's the baddest, meanest, most expensive base station ever made. Built like a tank. Performs excellent.
I know you too, big brother.
And it can actually also be used at the handbands. I don't think you can find a better base station, nor will you ever own a better base station. This is the ultimate. Thank you for watching this video.